So, Growlithe would finish its evolution into Arcanine, and then Ash would return it into his ball and would decide to do some training with Fira on Route 1 to teach it a particular move. After that, it would make it to Viridian City, where he would battle Giovanni. When he talked to Giovanni, he would learn that Giovanni is a businessman and he only sees Pokemon as tools for business. This would excite Ash, saying, finally, a trainer who sees Pokemon the way that they should be. Then, he would send out Venusaur, as Giovanni would send out Kingler. Venusaur with one Razor Leaf would easily win the battle. After that, Giovanni, trying to get a slight advantage, would send out Cloyster. Cloyster would be able to land an Ice Shard, but Venusaur would just use one Vine Whip and it was over. After that, Ash would return Venusaur. I would send out Firo, as Giovanni would send out Machamp. This would be more even than expected, but in the end, Firo would win. After that, Giovanni would send in Golem. Golem wouldn't be able to land a hit on the airborne Firo, which would give Firo an advantage. At the moment, Golem was going to land a rollout. Firo would make its wings glow. I would use Teal Wing to deflect Golem away, which would shock Giovanni, saying, wait, it knows Teal Wing? Which is rare for flying type in Kanto. And then, Ash would use Teal Wing continuously to defeat Golem. After that, Giovanni would send in Rhydon. This would be a very close and even battle, of it being a back and forth between Steel Wings and Takedown. But in the end, it will come to a clash between a Steel Wing and a Takedown. I would knock both Pokemon out. But since Ash could have used like one more Pokemon, he was declared the winner, and Giovanni will give Ash the badge. After that, Ash would arrive in Indigo Plateau. Most of the battles would go the same, but when Ash battled Richie, that is when stuff would get interesting. Ash would use Kabutops, as Richie would use Butterfree. Butterfree would be able to poison Kabutops, but Kabutops would be able to land a powerful rock move, knocking it out. After that, Richie would send in Sparky. Sparky would shock Kabutops with a powerful Thunderbolt, which would give Sparky the win. After that, Ash would send in his Arcanine to combat Sparky. Sparky would paralyze Arcanine with a Thunderbolt, but Arcanine would hit a powerful flamethrower, which would burn and knock out Sparky. After that, Richie would send in Charmander. Arcanine wouldn't even have to try. It would just be hitting extreme speed and takedown with little effort, which would really anger and weaken Charmander. And when it was almost down, it would begin to glow, as it would evolve into Charmeleon. This would become a very even and close battle. Slash is being traded with extreme speeds, both Pokemon giving it their all. But in the end, it will come down to a clash between a Slash and extreme speed, and the winner will be Arcanine. But meanwhile, Arcanine was celebrating its win. Ash would say, "Hush!" Don't celebrate. You look pathetic, which would catch Richie's attention. Richie would come and talk to Ash and say, "Hey, don't talk to your Arcanine like that. He just gave you an amazing battle and gave you this match. Why do you treat your Pokemon that way?" Ash would say, "Mind your own business. That's how Pokemon are supposed to be treated." As he would then battle a Centaur. In the original timeline, Richie battled a Centaur, and we weren't sure what Pokemon was her, Spearow or Tentacle. But I think Spearow would fit Richie more than Tentacle, so I've given her Tentacle for this one. Anyway, Ash introduced his Primeape against Rhydon. This would be a fairly easy battle for Primeape. After that, a Centaur would send out her Venomoth, which would poison the fighting type. The fighting type would try landing fighting type attacks, but it wouldn't do much to the airborne Venomoth. It would then use a Gust, which would do a lot of damage, and it would inflict Primeape with poison. This would go for a while, and eventually Primeape would faint, which would annoy Ash, saying, "Primeape, you're so pathetic, you should be stronger than that." A Centaur would take note of this comment. And then after that, Ash would send out Fearow. Fearow would easily avoid the poison powder and finish it off with a Jaw Pack. After that, a Centaur would send in her Tentacle. Tentacle would use a Sludge Bomb which would poison Fearow, but Fearow would be able to retaliate back with a whole bunch of Jaw Packs, which would do a lot of damage, but it would be inflicted by poison. After that, Tentacle would hit with a Water Pulse, which would confuse Fearow. It would be poisoned and confused. But then, Ash would say, "Stop being pathetic and wake up already." This would snap Fearow out of the confusion and finish off with a Jaw Pack. A Centaur would then say, "Hey, stop being so rough to your Pokemon." And Ash would say, "Who asked for your opinion? Anyway, send out your next one." A Centaur would send out her Ivysaur. Ivysaur would use Poison Powder and Vine Whip to smash around Fearow. But then, Fearow would use Jaw Pack as retaliation, which would do a lot of damage. This would be a very even battle, but it will come to a head of a clash between an Aerial Ace and a Takedown, which the more experienced and airborne Fearow would win. After that, a Centaur would refuse to shake Ash's hand and say, "You better work on the way you treat your Pokemon." As then Ash would ignore her and make his way to the finals. He would battle Samurai and he would say, "Oh, you! I've expected to see you around here." And Samurai would say, "Oh, Ash, see the way you treat your Pokemon. I thought that you would have changed. But now, I'm going to show you that love and trust is what truly makes a trainer strong." "Alright, go Butterfree." And Ash would say, "Go Beedrill." Beedrill would use Poison Jab, which would poison Butterfree, but Butterfree would retaliate with a Confusion, which could confuse Beedrill. Beedrill would hit itself in confusion, as Butterfree would be inflicted by poison. Both Pokemon would be unable to attack each other, and they would knock each other out from confusion, and poison. This would annoy Ash, and he would begin to get annoyed. After that, Ash would send in Kabutops, and Samurai would send in his Pincer. Pincer would use Superpower to do a lot of damage, but would lower its attack, as Kabutops would respond with Rock Slide, which would do a lot of damage. This would be a fairly even match, but in the end, Kabutops would take the win with an Aqua Jet. After that, Samurai would send out Charizard. This Charizard would be the same Charizard that Ash found on the rock as a Charmander in the original timeline. Since this time Ash didn't find the Charizard, so Charizard would start off with a Seismic Toss, which would do a lot of damage, while Kabutops would respond with a Slash. Even though Charizard would be at a major advantage, it would somehow be at upper hand. Ash would be able to understand why Charizard was dominating the battle. Charizard would then burn Kabutops with a flamethrower. Then it would hit it with a powerful Seismic Toss, knocking it out. After that, Ash would send in Arcanine. This would be an all-out fire-type battle. Extreme speeds and wind attacks being traded everywhere. Takedowns being traded with Seismic Toss. Flamethrowers being traded all over the battlefield. This would be a very intense battle. But in the end, when it came down to the wire, both Pokemon were charging with extreme speed and wind attack, respectively. But in the end, they would knock each other out. After that, Ash would send out Fearow, and Samurai would send in Cypher. This would be a very even battle, with Cypher using False Swipe to do decent damage, as Fearow would use Drill Peck to do a lot of damage. Fearow responded with a Fury attack, as Cypher would dodge and use a powerful Slash. This would go on for a while, but in the end, Fearow would win with a Drill Peck. After that, Samurai would send out Blastoise. This would be the Squirtle Squad leader from the original timeline. And in this timeline, it would have evolved. So, Ash would use Drill Peck against Blastoise, which wouldn't do much damage since it had crazy defenses. It would then use an Ice Punch to freeze Fearow. Fearow was stuck in place. Ash would yell, "Get out! 4 out!" But Fearow wouldn't be able to 4 out, as then Blastoise would prepare to use a powerful Skull Bash. Ash would be screaming, "Get out, you dumb bird! Get out!" But then, Samurai would say, "See, Ash? See the difference between a Pokemon and trainer who love each other and a Pokemon and trainer who don't love each other and only care about winning?" Ash would say, "Shut up!" But then Blastoise would launch the Skull Bash, giving Blastoise the win. This would be the first time that Ash would be having such a hard time in the battle. Ash would then send out Primeape. Primeape would use Mega Punch to do decent damage to Blastoise, as Blastoise would retaliate with an Ice Punch. This would be a very even battle, but in the end, it would be a clash between an Ice Punch and a Mega Punch, and would knock both Pokemon out. After that, Ash would send in Venusaur, as Samurai would send in Pidgeot. And then Ash would remember the Pidgey that he abandoned, that Samurai took in, and had evolved. And then Samurai would say, "Recognize this one, Ash? It's the Pokemon you abandoned." And then Ash would say, "Yeah." Even though Venusaur's at a type disadvantage, it will wreck Pidgeot. But Samurai would say, "We'll see." "Alright, Venusaur, use Takedown," which would hit Fearow. with Fury retaliate with an aerial ace. This would be a battle that would go on for a very long while, both Pokemon giving it their all. But this battle would get so intense that when Venusaur clashed with a takedown and Pidgeot clashed with an aerial ace, Venusaur's flower will begin to glow, its eyes will begin to glow, and an aura would appear. It would be more vicious, but the overgrow would be more vicious than last time, as it would be everywhere. This would shock Samurai, as you would be like, wow, Venusaur's really trying, isn't it? As then, Samurai and Pidgeot will continue to battle with Venusaur, which would surprisingly be quite an even battle. But then, it will come down to the wire, with a clash between a Solar Beam and an Aerial Ace. This would be a strong clash, but then Ash would say, "Do it!" And this would weaken the Solar Beam. And then Pidgeot would charge through with ease and defeat Venusaur. This would shock Ash, as he had never lost a battle before. And he would be angry. Sarah would say, "You see, Ash, the difference between a trainer who loves his Pokemon and cares for them, and a trainer who just doesn't care and always wants to win. That is how you get true strength, love and care. Pidgeot and I have proved to you that you shouldn't be like this. You should be a loving trainer who cares about his Pokemon." Hearing these words would bring Ash back to when he was younger, when he used to care about Pokemon. Then Ash would realise he should. Venusaur would wake up from being defeated, and then it would be expecting a scolding from Ash, but Ash would say, "Venusaur, I'm sorry for everything. You've done well." And would hug it, which would shock Venusaur. And then Samurai would smile, having done what he wanted. Alright, that's the end of the third part. I've had a lot of fun making this. Goodbye.